Yo, what is going on, guys? My name is Camden, but you can call me Cam, and in today's video we're going to be going over how to set up your stream the easy way, both for single PC streams and dual PC streams. I know some of you might be a little new to streaming, so you're probably not even going to be doing dual PC streaming. However, it is something that I get asked about a lot, mainly by friends. So I figured I might as well knock a video out in dual PC streaming and single PC streaming. So we're going to start off with single PC streaming because I feel like that's what most people are going to be doing. So let's just hop into OBS and I'll show everyone how to get things started. So if I go to my first scene here, my tutorial scene. Sure. Now don't worry about the black bars. The black bars are there because I'm on an ultra wide monitor, so don't worry about that. Let's just focus on what's actually in front of us. So we have display capture, which if you're using a single PC like setup and you don't have an internal or external capture card, this is probably the best way to go. You can always use full screen capture, which works just as well. However, sometimes you can't, like, you won't be able to capture like Google Chrome and things like that, and you won't be able to like maybe watch videos with your viewers. And as far as performance goes, I personally cannot see the difference between, you know, something like full screen capture or like game capture, it's also called, or window capture or anything like that. I personally cannot see the performance, and I feel like the trade-off for using display capture is better. Now I would not recommend using display capture if you do not have a second monitor, or if you are not very disciplined on what you have on your screens and things like that, because you're not able to actually control what people see. If you don't have two monitors and you're capturing one monitor, everything that you're wanting to look at will be on that one monitor. So you need to be careful, you know, if you're buying something or anything that comes up there that's against Twitch TOS, or anything like your credit card information will be shown on this screen. So just keep that in mind when you're using display capture. So to add a scene, and for instance to add this display capture, you would already have a scene here, which can be called anything. I'm just gonna call it gameplay like I did here, but to add that, I'm gonna show you. You go to add, see right here it says new scene. You can name it whatever you want. If it's going to be your game, where your game's at, I would recommend naming it game or overlay or something along those lines, because it'll allow you to easily see which is which. You probably can see a black screen right now, and that is that new scene that was created. I was showing everyone. You can see here that it's showing my cursor. It's showing everything on this screen because I have a dual PC setup. So everything is on this display, my cursor, everything. If I wanted to start up a game, it would record that game. Now, I'm going to go back to my kind of explain what we want to do. Now, if you are a new streamer with just a single PC setup, unless your PC is super beefy, I would not recommend having a lot of... See how my webcam up here is animated? You can see it at the top of my screen. It's very animated and flashy, and you can see at the top of my screen my overlay, where all of my recent donations, my followers, my subscriber, all of that, it's animated and stuff. You will watch videos, for instance, and they will tell you that these are good and they really spice up your stream, and it's true, they do spice up your stream a lot. They make things look a lot better. However, it is at a cost. If you're only using one PC, using animated overlays and things of that sort are really going to be taxing, and people who are making tutorials, they're going to tell you it's not going to impact it that much. They are lying. From someone who is not partnered yet on Twitch and has streamed over thousands of hours, I can tell you that having any type of animated overlay is going to be very taxing on your CPU. And if you're not using a dual PC stream setup, I would highly recommend against it. And you can take that with a grain of salt. You could try it out for yourself and prove me wrong. But from my personal experience, it is just too taxing on your stream and your gameplay to use animated overlays, animated transitions, and all of that stuff. I just don't personally think it's necessary. To just put it in simpler words, animated transitions and animated overlays and all of this other stuff, it is not going to grow your stream. Okay? It is not going to grow your stream any faster if it was there or if it wasn't there. Now, obviously, you want to make your stream look professional. However, you don't need all of that flashy stuff to make it look professional. At the end of the day, your content and your character is what's going to grow your stream. Okay? So, and we'll go into another video on how to actually grow your stream. That's not really the topic of it right now, but I just want you guys to understand that all of these overlays and things and the transitions, they look good, but if you do not have the horsepower, you're really gonna hurt yourself in the end. And I promise you, you're going to hurt. Again, the black bars, I know they look like shit. Let's actually see if we can get rid of those real quick. Let's go to properties. Yeah, see, I can't get rid of them. I guess I could stretch this out like that. Hopefully it doesn't look bad. Probably doesn't. Probably looks fine. So you can see here we have our OBS in front of us. I want to, before I start adding other scenes such as webcams and stuff, I want to get into the settings, because this is something a lot of my friends and viewers on Twitch, they always ask me a lot of questions about the settings because they're so confused and they're not really sure on what needs to be set to what. And I'm here to tell you that you don't need to understand all of the settings, okay? You just need to have a general idea of what needs to be what and just stick with what works, all right? It's a good saying from where I'm from. I'm from the south of the United States, and what we say is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that is I stick to that in OBS because there's a lot of settings in here. You don't need to understand them. You just need to set them up, make sure they work, and when you find something that works, just stick to it. So let's just start off general. You don't really need to change anything here. I like to change my snap sensitivity. I think default's maybe 10. I don't know. I changed mine to 7 because sometimes I don't want it to snap to the corners or the edges so much when I'm using overlays and things of that sort. So that's personally what I do. You don't have to do that. So you really want to start off at this tab right here, the Stream tab. And in this, you're going to go to Streaming Services. Most of you guys are not going to be using a custom streaming server. You might, and if you are, I cannot help you there because I do not use a custom streaming server. You would have to definitely go to a different video for that. So you're going to do Streaming Services. You're going to use whatever service you use, okay? So for most people, it's going to be YouTube or Twitch. Some of you might be on Mixer, Facebook Live. See this? Restream. I'm not going to go into a rant on it right now, but don't use Restream. Do not use Restream. I recommend highly against it. I'll make another video so you guys can understand why I recommend against it, but just don't use Restream, okay? So whatever streaming platform you use, you're going to click that, okay? And the way it actually makes you log in, you can use a stream key, which I haven't used in a long time, because what Streamlabs actually makes you do is, I believe when you click on Twitch, it's just going to have you log in. Okay, so you're just going to log into your Twitch and it'll automatically set all this up for you. I believe YouTube's the same, but I'm not sure. So someone in the comments would have to let me know if I'm wrong there. But YouTube, it's probably something similar. So once you get this set up, you're going to move on to the next tab, which is Output. Now, I can't change any of this stuff right now because I'm actually using it, kinda. Not really, but I am. So change your output mode to advanced, okay? Audio track, you can leave that on 1. Encoder, this is all going to be dependent on your graphics card or your CPU. Now, if you have an RTX card, So one of the new NVIDIA GPUs. I would recommend using hardware NVENC, new, okay? Use that over the software X264. And that's because this is going to use your graphics card instead of your CPU, and that allows your CPU to handle other tasks while the rest of your GPU that's not being used by the game can render and encode your stream. So enforce streaming services, service encoder settings, check that. I believe it's checked as default. Rate control. There's a couple of other options such as variable bitrate and average bitrate. I would just stick with control bitrate because I feel like it's the most consistent and will give you the best quality. Your bitrate can be set to, I'm going to show you actually what to do here, which will help you out. You're going to want to go to this website right here. I will leave a link in the description for everyone to click on, but Ookla SpeedTest or speedtest.net, okay? You're going to go here and click go. It's going to give you some numbers, and then I will show you the number that you need to pay attention to. Alright guys, now that we are back from that short break, there is our speed right here, and the number you're going to be looking for is going to be your upload speed, megabytes per second. Now, bitrate is measured in kilobytes per second, not megabytes per second. So a conversion for that, if you need help, is to just move the decimal point over 2. Okay, so my bitrate, my upload bitrate would be 25,327. Now, Twitch only allows up to 6,000 bitrate. So obviously putting in a bitrate of 25,327 would be pointless. So because I have a bitrate of that high, I use 6,000, which actually can be more damaging to some of your viewers if they don't have a decent connection. However, you're just gonna base this off about 70%. Is if it's less than 6,000, I would recommend using about 70%. So say, for instance, my bitrate was 5.5 megabytes per second, which would be about 5,500, right? So 5,500 megabytes per second. I would recommend using about 4,500, okay? Because if you use the max bitrate that you're reading, you could read it again, it might be lower or higher, and then you're going to get choppiness and buffering in your stream, and you don't want that. Obviously that definitely hurts the viewing experience. So I would recommend not using all of your upload bitrate, but use as much as you can and get away with, okay? So like I said, if you have around 5, I would recommend using about 4,000, right? If you have about 6, I would recommend using about 5,000. If you have over 6 by at least 2 megabytes, so if you're at 8 to 10 megabytes per second, I'd recommend just go ahead and using 6 because you'll get the smoothest experience. Keyframe interval, you can leave that at 2. Preset and high profile or profile. So your preset is going to be dependent on your CPU. So whatever your CPU, however good you think it is, set it to either high or low. So quality or max quality, right? That's going to be at the top of the list. That's pretty much the fastest setting. Okay, so if you have a beefier PC and a beefier CPU, you would go lower on that list, so low latency and things like that. But for food for thought, for most people not using a dual PC setup and you're just using one PC, it's always good to kind of keep it around quality, maybe a step down from quality. Like I said, that's kind of a testing thing. You can't really gauge that. You just have to stream with one, and if you notice some latency issues or you notice some lag in your game or on your stream, I would bring it up a little bit. And so that's, I mean, again, testing. You kind of have, this isn't set in stone for everyone. You're gonna have to test a little bit to figure out what's best for you. Let's see. So preset low latency, that's what I have it set as. Like I said, I use dual PC setup. Profile high. Yeah, go ahead and keep that at high if you want to. You can put it at main, but I'd recommend high. Look ahead, you can turn that off. If it's, I think it's set default at off, but if it's not, just, you can go ahead and turn that off. Psycho visual tuning, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know what that means, but it's always been on, and I've tried turning it off, and I can't tell a difference in stream quality or any performance issues. So I would just leave that on. GPU, if you have 2 graphics cards in your computer and you want to use one for streaming, you can set it to 0. That's going to be your first GPU. 1 will be your second GPU. So if you want to stream off of your second GPU, you can set that to 1, and your game will stream off your game will run off your main GPU. But for most people, the average user, you're gonna have 1 GPU, so just leave it set as 0. Max B frames, again, just leave that as 2. A lot of those you can leave it default right there. Recording, irrelevant, because we're not worrying about recording, we're worrying about streaming. And same with audio, don't worry about that, because I believe that has something to do with the audio of recording, not the actual audio of the stream. I could be wrong, let's see. Okay, this is all your tracks and things like that. You can leave that at 160 bit rate, that's fine. So let's go to audio. Okay, so in your audio section, you're gonna see your sample rate, channels, and then you'll see all of this down here. So sample rate, I'm not sure what the default is, but just put it at 48,000 kilohertz or 48,000 hertz. I'm an idiot. Channels, stereo, because you want stereo audio, you don't want mono. And then you're gonna come down here, and this is going to be set to whatever is according to you. So desktop audio, that's going to be probably default, but that's going to be what you're hearing in your headset. So Discord, the game, your Twitch alerts, everything that would come through that you would hear inside your headset, that's going to be what you want as your desktop audio device 1. So then you'll come to your mic. You'll set that to whatever your mic is. You see here, I have mine set to voice meter, and that's because I use an app called Voice Meter, which is a soundboard, and I use it on my Stream Deck. But that's just because that's what I use. You're gonna set it to whatever your mic audio comes out of. So check Discord. That would be the first place I would check. Whatever it says there, that's gonna be what you're going to be looking for. Or if you can't find it in Discord, or in Discord it's set to default, you can come down to the bottom right of your screen, select sounds, go to recording, and see what your default communication device is. Or you can go here, see what your default communications device is, and that'll also be a pretty easy way to help you out. Alright, so if we're moving on to video, if you're streaming on, if you're not affiliated or partnered and you're streaming with a single PC, I would recommend using as your base canvas. That's going to be whatever your monitor's resolution is. So mine's 1920 by 1080, and your output is going to be set to 1280 by 720. So that'll be 720p. Don't get scared when you hear that word 720p. I promise you, you're going to be doing yourself a favor. It's going to look a lot better than you think, because most people are going to be watching on their phones anyways. So don't be discouraged when you see 720p. It looks just fine. So your downscale filter, you can keep that at Lanczos or bicubic. If you notice any performance issues, just change it to bicubic, but I wouldn't go any lower than that. FPS type, common FPS values, and then set that to 59.94. So that's going to be 720p at 60 FPS. If your stream or your PC cannot handle 60 FPS at 720p, you can go down to 720p at 30 FPS, but I would definitely recommend upgrading your computer later on down the road, because it's not going to look very great. Advanced, don't worry about any of this. You can keep most of this default. I would change process priority to above normal, but other than that, you can keep most of that to default. And then the rest of this stuff is stuff you can play around with, such as your gameplay overlay, your scene collections, notifications, all that stuff. You can leave that to whatever, and you can play around with that. Same with hotkeys. You could play around with all of that. That's not something I can really give you a tutorial on. So now that we're back here inside of OBS, I can show you how to kind of add some scenes in, basic scenes. I'm not going to show you how to do anything too crazy, because for you to really get the gist of things, you're going to have to just do it yourself. I can only explain to you the basics, and then you just have to go and do it. So to add a new scene, well, hold on. These are sources inside of a scene. These are scenes. These are sources. So we have our gameplay scene, but it's just gameplay, which is kind of boring. So if you have a webcam, you would go to video capture device, add source. Here's the webcam, add the webcam. And here I am here. You can see me waving, and you can resize that to whatever you want to resize it to. I'm going to resize it to that so you guys can see me. But yeah, that's basic. It doesn't look too different from anything that we've already done. Next thing you would add, I would say, after you have your gameplay and your webcam, here you're technically done. You don't need to add anything else. At this point in time, you can start your stream just like this and it won't be a problem. Now, if you want to really spice things up, you can always add alerts and things like that will pop up, such as something like this. Will it pop up? No, I don't have it set. So if you come here and you go to alert box and you select add source, I'm gonna select the alert box that I already have. But actually, let's add a new alert box. So let's go to alert box here, and let's see if I can. Okay, so you see here, that is my alert box. I already have an alert box set, but if you go and you add an alert box, it should already have something set for you. If you have a Streamlabs OBS or Streamlabs account, it'll have something, and you can tweak it however you want. I'll go into a deeper video about that, because that's a whole video on its own. But now you can see if someone subscribes, that's gonna pop up, and it looks nice and professional. So let's just drag that up there. You'll want that. You don't want that. You don't want your alerts all over the place. You want them in a nice, neat, clean spot. And then you come here, transform, center horizontally, because you want it nice and center in the horizontal area of the screen. So now you're even done. You're done now. You can stream now, and you have alerts, and it'll look nice and good. And you really don't need to go any further. However, if you wanted to, and if your PC can handle it, and like I said, you can do some testing. I would recommend testing this before you really start streaming. You can come over here into this top tab right here that I'm clicking on, and if you go to themes, okay, you will see that Streamlabs OBS has lots and lots of themes that they have selected, and they do cost money. But if you sign up for Streamlabs Prime or something like that, which I pay for, you get all of these for free, okay? And nowadays, which is nice, like right now, they have their Halloween stuff and stuff like that, which is really nice, because you are able to use your seasonal things, and you don't have to go out and get custom stuff made. You can just come here, and they'll have something for every game, for the most part, every situation. Anything you want, they will have something for it, which is really nice. To add one of those in, I'll show you. Let me find one that I want for Halloween, because Halloween is right around the corner. How does this look? This looks pretty cool, eh? Yeah, this looks pretty cool. So I'll show you guys how to add it. You'll come over here and you literally just say install overlay. It's going to download. It's going to say adding a fresh scene collection. And then there we go. So when I added the new scene, it actually took my audio away, but I re-added it real quick so I could show you guys. So now if we go to our different scenes, it literally set everything up for us in nice and organized areas, such as our starting screen, our be right back screen, our ending, and then just chatting. So everything looks nice and organized, and we really didn't even have to do much. So if your stream or if your PC can handle it, this is awesome. This is the way to go for sure. But like I said, it's gonna take a beefy PC, okay, or a dual PC setup, one of the two. But if you really want it to look the best that it possibly can, you're going to want to make sure that it is you're gonna want to make sure that your PC is definitely beefy. All right, guys, so my recording actually stopped in the middle of that, but as I was saying, if you're gonna use something like the transitions and the scenes that we were talking about previously, you're gonna want to make sure that your PC is definitely CPU heavy and that you are not running a lot of browser sources. Or the alternative, you have a dual PC stream setup, which will take care of every task you need. So in the next video, we will tackle the dual PC streaming setup, and we might have time to do audio in that video, but if not, then I'll have to make another video on how to actually set up the audio for two PCs, because that is a whole problem in itself, because you're getting audio from one of your PCs over to the next, and then you need to hear from both. So there's two ways to do that, with a mixer or with software, but we can get into that in that video. But other than that, guys, if you enjoyed today's video and you learned anything, or you enjoyed the content, please go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new, and turn notifications on. On the alternative side, if you didn't enjoy the video, go ahead and dislike it if you'd like. But other than that,